Hey gamers, today I'm going to be discussing a topic I've seen very fiercely debated in the community lately. The topic in question is who would win in a fight, Shrersh or Kerek? Now I know what you might be thinking. Shrersh and Kerek are two completely different characters. Wouldn't be a fair matchup, they're like oil and water. While it's true that they're very different characters, that's what would make a fight between the two interesting. I've been a fan of this series since the initial release of the manga in 1999, so believe me when I say this is one of the most interesting fan matchups I've seen. Anyway, let's get into it. Since Shrersh and Kerek never actually face off in the series, we're going to have to compare and contrast each fighter's abilities to be able to speculate what a fight between the two would be like. The first contender we're going to analyze is the mastermind himself, Shrersh. As you might already know, Shrersh is unequaled in his intelligence. Despite being very physically weak, Kerek has proven himself to be very calm, collected, and resourceful when it comes to a combat situation. A great example of this would be in volume 56 of the manga. Using his quick thinking, Shrersh turns what would have been a defeat into a glorious victory. This impressive intellect is shown off many other times in the manga and is what makes Shrersh a formidable foe. Physically speaking, Shrersh is very weak, but agile. Being able to dart around and maneuver under the legs of his opponents, Shrersh is more than able to make a hasty retreat if need be. Next up is the lovable oaf, Kerek. Kerek is the polar opposite of Shrersh. While he may be unintelligent, he more than makes up for it when it comes to his incredible strength. Practically a walking mountain, Kerek is the last thing you'd want to see on the other side of the battlefield. Not only can he dish out the damage, he can definitely take his fair share too. In volume 83, Kerek is surrounded by hundreds of enemy troops with no one to aid him. Taking arrows and spears from every direction, Kerek goes on a rampage and tears the poor soldiers limb from limb, killing more than half before they eventually ran for their lives. It may be easy to underestimate Kerek due to his primitive intellect, but he is a very worthy adversary who has challenged the abilities of the most decorated fighters. Alright, now that we have a general idea of each fighter's strength and weaknesses, it's time to discuss how a battle between the two of them would pan out. I think the most important thing to ask when it comes to these two is, where are they fighting? While it's obvious that Kerek would no doubt smash Shrersh into a pulp should he corner him, would that even be possible in most locations? Consider this. Shrersh and Kerek come across each other in an open battlefield, say a wide open wooded field of some sort. A location like this would allow Shrersh the opportunity to sense Kerek coming a mile away and give him the chance to retreat if he gets too close. A battlefield like this would definitely favor the guerrilla warfare style tactics of Shrersh. Kerek would be at a big disadvantage here while Shrersh would be well in his element, hiding, retreating, and placing traps. In fact, a well-placed trap by the clever Shrersh could put an end to this fight with little effort. All our devious little tactician would have to do is place a trap, wait for the gullible Kerek to spring it, and deal the killing blow while he's immobilized. But don't count the big guy out yet. While this scenario would most likely spell out doom for poor Kerek, if the two were to meet in another location, things would go very differently. If our battlefield of choice was instead something like, say, a gladiatorial arena, Shrersh would be at a disadvantage. In a more compact location like this one, Shrersh would have nowhere to run and nowhere to hide. His vast intellect would do him no good when he can't use any of his signature tricks or traps. The fight here would most likely end up in the frail Shrersh being chased to exhaustion by the relentless Kerek until he eventually collapses and is finished off for good. So after considering the different outcomes for the battle, it may seem pretty even, right? Wrong. While it's true that Shrersh would be in trouble were he to ever come across Kerek one-on-one in a battlefield where Shrersh's intellect can't be put to use, just how likely is that to ever happen? Not very. If the manga taught us anything, it's that Shrersh is an incredible tactician and strategist. Almost every battle he took part in, Shrersh was the one pulling the strings. Shrersh decided where he would fight the enemy and when. If location is the biggest factor in this matchup, it's a factor that Shrersh would easily be able to control. With his heightened senses, there's no way Shrersh would be caught off guard by Kerek. While I'm sure a lot of you might get angry at me for my choice, it's simply no competition in my eyes. Kerek is a great fighter, don't get me wrong, but there's just no way Shrersh would ever be able to find himself in a situation where he's been put into check by the less intelligent Kerek. Shrersh decides who does what and where they do it. As Sun Tzu once said, "He who knows when he can fight and when he cannot will be victorious." Well, that about sums up my thoughts on this matter. I'd love to hear what you guys have to say in the comments about this. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to hit that motherfucking like button, smash that notification bell, and send me pictures of your feet.